Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cool Sports Guy. I'm Tom, and once again, I will be soloing today for our weekly picks. It is week 6 of the NFL coming up, and well, we're a quarter way through. It was easy to say we're a quarter way through after week 4, but unfortunately, now that we have the extra game, well, fortunately for the viewers, we have the extra game. It's not exactly divided into 4 quarters. So, but now we're officially over the hump. Week 5 is over. We have a good feel for the teams. And when it comes to pick, I'm behind both Jose and Jarett, and it's time to play some catch up. So hopefully some of these picks are going to be good and valid, and some of the crazy questionable ones I made will be some fluke games this week. Um, and for the first time in this season's NFL, we have 4 teams on bye, who I believe are the Houston Texans, the Raiders, and 2 other teams. I can't even remember who it is. But let's go on to the teams that are actually playing this week, and we will start. But before I put those on there, don't forget to check out our Facebook, our Instagram, and our Twitter page. Also, our website, coolsportsguide.com. Ignore my puppy's picture behind me. For whatever reason, my virtual background was not working properly today. So here we are. But we're going to get right into it. I'm going to go ahead and take these the socials off of there so we can add our slideshow in, and we'll see how many mistakes I made today on the actual slide. So here we go. Week 6, let's start. So first game, we have the Ravens traveling to New York to take on the Giants. So listen, admittedly, maybe I was a little wrong about the Giants. I kept saying they're a quarterback away. I still think they're a quarterback away, but they're playing better than I anticipated. Clearly, they're winning games. They're finding ways to win games, and it seems like they will continue to win games. So, and the Ravens, the biggest question regarding the Ravens right now is how their defense is playing. So they don't really have that great of a defense, and that's the biggest threat to the Giants right now. Is how, especially when it comes to the pass rush, how is it going to get to Daniel Jones? Lamar Jackson, on the other hand, is playing lights out. The question is, can he do that through all 4 quarters? And can he do that, especially if they're trailing? This was a tough one for me, went back and forth a lot. And I decided to disagree with both of my colleagues here. So I had to go ahead and pick the New York Giants to win the football game. I know sounds like an absurd pick, but I had to go with my gut here. And, well, we'll see what happens. My colleagues thinks the Ravens are going to win. Giants are playing at home. They do have a good defense. Really love the coaching job they've been doing. So and they're coming off of a big win in London against the Green Bay Packers, big underdogs, and they came up with the stop at the very end. So and they came back from behind to win the game to get the lead. So I think the momentum's going to continue. I got to go with the Giants here again. I know off the bat, crazy pick. Probably the reason why I have the worst record out of all 3 of us, but here we go. Next, moving up, we have Jaguars at Colts division game. They've already played once, two or 3 weeks ago. I forget exactly which one. Jaguars obviously they defeated the Colts pretty bad. The Colts, it was as a team that I was so high on. I was so excited for. I thought Matt Ryan was going to be such a great addition to this team, but somehow they are doing worse than at least it seems like they're doing worse than when they had Carson Wentz as the quarterback. I'm not sure how that's possible, but they're doing it. The Jacksonville Jaguars, I was pretty high on them from the get-go. Now, if you're talking momentum here, the Colts came off of a win last week, which was it was painful to watch these 2 teams go back and forth. I wouldn't even say it was a good defensive game, even though it was just low scoring. It was just terrible offensive game from both these teams. So yeah, they're coming off a win. I don't know how much momentum that they're going to build on that, though. Jacksonville, on the other hand, should have won the game against Texans, another division game for them, but of course they didn't. And I have a lot of faith in Doug Peterson, and I don't think they're going to lose 3 games in a row. So I had to go with Jacksonville here, and I think my colleagues agree with me. They're also going with Jacksonville again. They've already beat the Colts once this year, and Colts aren't looking too pretty right now. That's one of the teams I was dead wrong on going into the season. So, and do they have time to turn it around? Sure, they do. But are they going to? I don't know. It doesn't look too pretty right now. All right, moving on. So we have the Patriots at Browns. For those of you that did not see last week, the Patriots basically just shut out the the Lions. The Browns, on the other hand, they're playing good defense. They're playing good ball. Their quarterback is still Jacoby Brissett. Let's not forget that. And guess who he used to play for? He used to play for the Patriots. So Belichick, knowing him, he should know all the tricks up Brissett's sleeves, and he is gonna come at him with everything he's got. I was not very high on the Patriots going into this year. And maybe it's just a fluke. Maybe it's just 2 weeks in a row. I'm thinking, okay, they're getting better and better, but in reality, it's just only going to last a little while. But I'm pretty high on them right now. The fact that they took Aaron Rodgers and the Packers to overtime. Now, I don't know if Packers are just sucking right now, for lack of better words, so simply because they also just lost to the Giants, or I don't know if the Patriots and Giants are better than we think they are. They also gave let the Lions put up 0 points. At least last I saw it was 0 to whatever. I don't know if the Lions came back in late in the fourth quarter and put something up. I totally turned the TV off at that point or switched into their game at that point. I just didn't care anymore. I think that momentum's going to continue. And it looks like Mac Jones will still be out. Hoyer might be back, but I don't see a scenario where Hoyer's going to start over Zappy. Zappy's playing really well, in my opinion. I think he's going to continue to get the reps, and we will see what happens. But I have the Patriots winning this game. My colleagues disagree with me. They got the Browns winning this game. What I love so far is we're only 3 games in, and there's already 2 disagreements, which is rare. But I need these disagreements in order for me to catch up. So I'm gonna trust in Bill one more time. We'll see what happens. All right, moving on. We have the Bengals traveling to New Orleans to take on the Saints. This was a really tough pick for me. Went back and forth a lot. It's one of those where Bengals they got all the way to a Super Bowl last year. They should have maybe pulled it off, but they obviously didn't. They had offensive line issues. Apparently fixed them. Didn't look too pretty in the beginning of the year with that offensive line. Still, it looks like they're getting a little better. Saints has, well, compared to the Bengals offensive line, I would say a fairly good pass rush. And they're a good team. My only concern is Chris Olave might not play because of what happened. And it looks like Taysom Hill is questionable. And so is Jameis Winston. So it might be Andy Dalton starting for the Saints, which isn't terrible. But Bengals look like they are tightening up their offensive line a bit more. They are starting to get into the rhythm a bit more. I'm not too high on either of these teams, but ultimately, again, it was a tough choice, but it's one of those, I don't really care. Game can go either way. I picked the Bengals to win. And I think everybody agrees with me on this one. So pretty straightforward on that one. Let's see. We got the Buccaneers traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Steelers has been pretty flaky this season. Obviously, Mitch is benched. We'll see what Pickett will do. Kenny he's definitely going to run. That's going to be the biggest challenge the Buccaneers defense is going to have to deal with. As far as the Bucs offense goes, the number one thing that can basically be pointed out is when Brady has all the players that he, especially when it comes to receivers, when he has everybody, they could be very good. After 2 struggling weeks, actually 3 struggling weeks, because even against Green Bay, they didn't look too pretty. Against Kansas City, off the bat, they were already going to lose that game. I mean, 40 seconds into the game, Kansas City already had the lead on them. And Buccaneers should have. The only chance of Bucs winning that game was for them to continue to get touchdowns from the very first drive, which unfortunately didn't happen. But we did see the offense get into somewhat of a rhythm and, put up 31 points. And we did see the offense get into a rhythm and put up 21 points against Atlanta last week, even though Atlanta found ways to stop them and kind of crawl back into the game a little. I don't want to get into the whole call thing. Look, as I love Tom Brady more than any other player on the in the NFL. That was a terrible, terrible call. Now, there's no guarantee Atlanta was going to win that game if the call didn't happen, but I hated the call. I still think I don't know. I still think the Bucks would have somehow pulled it off, but it was a terrible call. Don't want to get more into it. So I'm against the Bucks on that one. But nonetheless, I think the offense can and is starting to get into a rhythm. And I kind of called it a few weeks ago. You just got to give them some time. My biggest concern is their health. If they could stay healthy, Steelers do have a pretty solid defense, and the Steelers haven't quite proved that they have a good offense yet. So I'm not super worried about that. I got the Bucks winning this game, and I think my colleagues agree with me. Yep, and yep, they do. All right. So let's see. 49ers at Falcons. This one's pretty forward. Look, Falcons, they're a better team than I thought they were going to be. I thought they're just gonna struggle and lose, but almost every single game at this point, they're getting so close to winning that they're putting up a fight. You would think, man, they're gonna pull this off. Something happens. Obviously, everyone knows what happened last week. Um, and this week too, I don't think this is going to be a lopsided game as it might seem, but the 49ers do have easily one of the best defenses in football right now. And they also have a really good offense. Again, Jimmy G could go either way, but he is good enough to manage the game. And when he's not going to lose the game for them, more often than not, they're going to win the game. Falcons, on the other hand, again, they they put up a good fight. They come very close. They always give you a feel of, man, they're actually going to pull this off. But more often than not, they come up a little shy. I think the same thing's going to unfortunately happen for them at home this week. I got the 49ers winning this game, and ta-da! So does my colleagues. All right, it's a fair pick. Jets and Packers. I sent out a text message to my colleagues last week, and I said, "Hey, do we start taking the Jets seriously because they're starting to win games, and it's like, well, where did this come from?" And on top of that, Packers just lost to a New York team in London, so now they're playing at home to another New York team. Here's my answer on should we take the Jets seriously? No, you should not. I hate to say it. It would have been exciting for a change, but the Jets, look, they're a lot better than they were last year, but a lot better than what they were last year is not saying much. They are going to continue to, unfortunately, not do such a great job. They might win a few games here and there, but that's pretty much going to be it. They're still going to have a losing record at the end of the year, and they're more than likely going to miss the playoffs. Obviously, not more than likely. I'm like 85, 90% sure they're going to miss the playoffs. Packers, on the other hand, Aaron Rodgers is coming off of a loss, and I don't think that's going to sit too tight with them. They get to go back home. They get to play at home on their turf, and Rodgers is he's gonna make up for what he did last week. So I got the Packers winning this game, and I think, yep, everybody agrees with me. I think this is a pretty easy pick. But again, hey, a lot of these picks almost every week we feel like is pretty straightforward and easy, but then I somehow end up 8-8. So we'll see what happens. Although I will say, if the Jets actually do beat the Packers, it'll be quite the story and exciting. Vikings at Dolphins. This was a very tough one for me. I've been back and forth on it a lot. Tua did practice. He was limited, but he did practice. It looked like Tyreek, after the minor injury last week, he will be back. It seems like. And it's been 2 weeks now. If Tua is already practicing, then I would assume he's going to be back playing this game. Vikings are a really good team to play against. This game, in my opinion, can go either way, but ultimately, I had to go with, hey, where they're playing. They're playing in Miami. Teams oftentimes, especially with that heat, struggle to play in Miami. It hasn't cooled down quite enough in Miami, in my opinion, especially compared to Minnesota. I think Kirk Cousins and company will put up a good fight, but Miami does have a really, really good defense. And their offense, as limited as Tua seems, they are getting the job done, especially when he's on the field. And he's more than likely going to be out on the field this week. I had to go with the home team, the Miami Dolphins, and my colleagues. Yay, they disagree. Okay. All right. So they picked Minnesota for whatever reason. I know Jarrett's very high on the Vikings. Almost, I'm not as high as he is, but I'm up there. I'm not really sure what Jose's reasoning to picking the Vikings to win this game is, but hey, Jose picks some weird games, and he more often than not ends up winning them. So we'll see. Panthers at Rams. Rams are nowhere near as good as they were last year. Nowhere near as good as we anticipated them to be. I don't know if it's the lack of OBJ, or it's maybe a combination of lack of OBJ not being there, and on top of that, their offensive lines, all the shuffles that had to happen with that. But nonetheless, they are obviously struggling. They do still have a pretty solid defense, but it's not getting the job done all the way. And the Rams are just not as quite as good as we thought. Obviously, the Cowboys came with everything they got last week, and they gave it to them, and they beat them pretty bad, and it didn't look too pretty for the Rams. But here's the good news for the Rams: that one, they're playing at home. Two, they're playing against probably one of the worst franchises or teams this year in the National Football League. Their head coach just got fired. Baker Mayfield probably won't even start this game because he's a cluster to deal with. He's again, I've been saying this for ages. I don't think he's that good of a quarterback. And on top of that, Panthers aren't playing at home. I don't see a scenario where the Panthers come out and beat the Rams. McVay's coming off a loss. He's very good coming off a loss. He's going to try and pull off a win. He needs to try and pull off a win if they got to keep the Rams in this game. Because obviously the 49ers are in their division. They're doing very, very good, and they can't fall too far behind. They continue to do this. Rams also don't have an easy-looking schedule going forward either. So I think the Rams are going to pull this off. I think it's a pretty straightforward game. And I also, quite frankly, I don't think it's going to be a very close game. So I got the Rams winning, and so does Jarett, and so does Jose. Perfect. All right. Moving on. Cardinals at Seahawks. Another division game coming up. Man, Geno Smith from time to time is looking like the best quarterback in the National Football League. But at the same time, the Seahawks defense is looking like the worst defense in the National Football League. So they are a juggernaut of a team. They are going back and forth. All of their games are so high scoring. It's ridiculously crazy to me. They are playing at home. Cardinals, again, on the other hand, I picked the Cardinals to win last week, came within 3 points of beating the Eagles. Cardinals being Cardinals lost that game. I don't have too much trust in Kyler Murray, but that being said, Kyler Murray is also playing a Seattle defense who is for sure the bottom of the pack. So I think this game is going to be another high-scoring offensive game for both teams. Cardinals defense is slightly better, and I just don't think the Seahawks defense is going to be able to stop Kyler Murray and company, and I can see them pulling this one off. I had to go with the Cardinals to win this game. It's a tough call. It was a very close one, but I had to go with the Cardinals, and I think Jose agrees with me. That's great, and Jarett thinks the Seahawks are going to win, which is interesting and exciting. It is a division game, so division games are usually weird, and it might go either way. So we'll see what happens there. All right, let's see. Moving on. Biggest game of the week. Bills and Chiefs, Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes. They're playing in Arrowhead. This is, I'm not sure why this is not a Sunday night or a Monday night game. This is it's a 4 p.m. or 4:20, 4:05, whatever Eastern game. Whatever. It is what it is. They're playing Sunday evening. It's going to be the biggest game. It's going to be the most anticipated one, probably the most watched game this week. Obviously, people love when these two quarterbacks go head to head. Last year in the playoffs, Chiefs got the best of Bills, but in the regular season, Bills got the best of Chiefs, and that was also at Arrowhead. So here we are again, Bills playing the Chiefs. Here's the thing, and call me crazy for this. Well, don't call me crazy for this part. I think Patrick Mahomes is a way better quarterback, or definitely a better quarterback than Josh Allen is. But that being said, the Chiefs team, they've caught some breaks here. They really have. Last week, this is my personal opinion, the Raiders gave away the game rather than the Chiefs winning that game. The Raiders had a 17-point lead. They blew the lead. They let the Chiefs come back. And don't even get me started on how the decisions in the fourth quarter went, which I believe were just atrocious. But nonetheless, I feel like the Raiders lost that game. And look, the Raiders are going into a bye week. They're 1-4. I think they're going to come back and they're actually going to start playing better and better, and they're going to start actually winning games. But the Chiefs are beatable. So are the Bills. The Bills had a very bad game against who the Dolphins. I kept wanting to say Eagles. Bills did not have a pretty game against the Dolphins. They didn't look too good against the Ravens until the second half of that game either. But in this particular case, when it comes to defenses, when it comes to the entire team, I think the Bills are a better team, and I think the Chiefs' luck is not going to continue to not run out. I have the Bills winning this game. And surprisingly enough, all three of us have the Bills winning this game. Promise you, at least on my end, this is nothing against the Chiefs or Patrick Mahomes. I think when we get into the playoffs and these two teams play each other, I might have different picks. But as of right now, I had to go with the Bills. So moving on. Cowboys at Eagles. This was another very, very, very tough one for me. I think I will be very sad. So off the bat, I'm just going to tell you guys, I picked the Eagles to win this game. I will be very sad if the Cowboys win this game because I was this close to picking the Cowboys to win this game. First of all, there's tons of reasons, especially when it comes to stats, I can put out there to say why the Eagles are going to win this game. But you know what? Hey, here's one stat. Cooper Rush still hasn't lost a game. If I'm the Cowboys, first of all, I wouldn't put Dak into this game because this is going to be a tough game to win. If you throw Dak into his first return game against the Eagles and he craps the bed, then there's going to be a lot of quarterback controversy and issues there. So I wouldn't do that. But hey, that's just me. But as of right now, it looks like Cooper Rush will be the quarterback playing. He hasn't been doing much. It's mainly been just the team in general. Cooper Rush is just doing enough to not lose games. The Cowboys defense have been outstanding. They're according to my picks, they're going to the NFC Championship game. Doesn't look too bad right now. The Eagles, guys, I'm telling you, I said it last week and I'll say it again. Don't be too high on the Eagles. The Eagles are undefeated. Yes, they're looking really good. Yes. Is it going to continue? No, it's not. Do I think the Eagles are going to win this game? I think they are going to win this game. I think this is going to be the first loss Cooper Rush takes. This is not the game is a division game. It's at Philly. It's going to be a crazy crowd. It's going to be an interesting game. And as great as of a defense the Cowboys have, the Cowboys also haven't had to deal with a mobile quarterback like Jalen Hurts. And I think this is going to be a different challenge for them. And then on the offensive side of the ball, most of the time you have your defense keeping you in the game. And if Eagles get an early head start on the Cowboys and they get an early lead on the Cowboys, this game's going to look very different for the Cowboys. Do I think the Eagles are going to win? I think so. I think the Eagles are going to win. But I'm telling you, it's not going to last very long. This whole undefeated season looking great, going to make the NFC Championship and the Super Bowl thing. I highly doubt that's going to happen. Calling it here, they're not going to be making it. So, let's see. What's the next game? All right, Cowboys, Eagles. So Oh, by the way, I have the Eagles winning this game, and so does everybody, because as of right now, why would anyone bet against the Eagles? I have my colleague who all right, just making sure. Broncos to Chargers. I had a feeling I put one of the picks wrong in the slide, so I just wanted to check one of the picks that I got sent when I was putting these together. But I was correct. We all did pick the Eagles. Broncos at Chargers. All right, this is the final game. Again, there are 4 teams on bye this week, so we only have 12 games. That's why we're already at the Monday night game. The Broncos are trash. I hate to say it, their defense is really, really, really good. That's the only thing that's been keeping them in the game. But oh my God, that team isn't going anywhere. And the Chargers, on the other hand, look, they've had some fluke games. They've had some bad games. They've had some injuries that had happened, especially with their quarterback. But hey, he's back out. He's playing, and he's playing great. It's a division game. They're playing in LA. Broncos, listen, you lost to a team last week who didn't score a touchdown. That's how bad you are. You just lost to a team last week who did not score a touchdown. And you're going to go up, and that was an atrocious Colts team. This is a really, really well coached and playing Chargers, both offensively and defensively. I think this is going to be not just a loss, but a butt kicking for the Broncos. So I don't even have much to say here. I think it's pretty straightforward on who I'm picking. I have to go with the Chargers. I think my colleagues agree with me. So it looks like we had about 3 or 4 disagreements, which, that's okay. I'm all right with that. It's not terrible. It's not the end of the world. I will take it. And those 3 or 4 is all I need to catch up to the leader in all 3 of us our picks, and I think I'm only behind by like 3 games, so it's not that bad. I'll catch up. By the end of the season, I'm gonna be up there. We'll see. But as far as pick goes, that's all we have. Next week we will have Jarett back joining us. He was down in Chicago enjoying the Bears Washington game, so I'm sure he'll have lots to talk about that when he comes back. And we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys soon. Until then, thank you so much for joining once again. Don't forget to check out our website, coolsportsguy.com, our Facebook, our Instagram, and our Twitter. Thank you so much for joining, and I will see you guys later.